What's the current state over there? Like boots on the ground, like what's going on?
It's pretty cold weather now, so Russia intensified attacks.
Almost no private capital from the West has gone into Ukraine during this phase of the war. And it's
a real shame.
It's a shame.
No one believes in the peace deal, frankly. Personally, I am determined to go for as long as it's needed.
Locked in.
Because it's an existential thing for us. That's what many people in the US don't get. We just don't have a choice. If we stop, we die.
Perry Boyle and Dennis Gurak are the co-founders of MITS Capital, an investment group focused on advancing defense and dual-use technology by connecting global capital with Ukraine's rapidly growing defense tech sector.
Dennis and I and the entire MITS team, we have 24 people, are committed to defeating Russia.
Yeah.
Because it's possible.
It is possible.
So another misconception is also that Russia is doing this, by themselves. No, they're just a tool in Chinese hands.
There is no war without China.
So really China's at the center of it.
Yeah. This is actually a trap because
Dennis, Perry, and what company do you guys work for?
We are MITS Capital. We are two of the three founding partners of MITS Capital.
Okay. Is this an investment firm?
It's kind of a merchant bank. So we are a U.S. company, but we operate in Ukraine, and our mission is to bring Western capital into Ukraine's defense industrial base to build it up, to get the Russians out, but also to integrate Ukraine into the NATO defense architecture.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I just had the Neros founder on again, and he said his biggest competition is actually in Ukraine.
Yes.
That's where the battle is, and that's where the most need is, and they're innovating fast, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, what's interesting about Ukraine is there's 1,500 different combat commands who can buy whatever they can pay for without going through a centralized, MOD or Pentagon system. So the demand signals are unmatched. There's no NATO military that operates this way.
Yeah, that's crazy. Do they do they have kind of similar budgets across all 1,500 or just varying?
No, they fundraise independently. They they get allocation from the MOD, but they also fundraise independently. So, the U.S. Army, you've got the U.S. Army, you've got the Marine Corps, and you have SOCOM. Right, SOCOM has this unique independence of procurement.
Yeah.
Well, that exists more broadly within Ukraine. So you have two army corps that are very independent, both the Azov Corps and the Third Corps, and they recruit independently, uniform independently, equip independently. It's very much like they are SOCOM units.
Okay, so. Well, hopefully a little faster than SOCOM. SOCOM
SOCOM's
gotten a little bigger now.
Yeah. Everything in Ukraine is faster than anywhere else in the world.
The key to innovation is sense of urgency. You don't have any of that in the U.S.
Yeah. I mean, I feel that. Even me, if I can just, not to overshare, but even we're not at war, and so our engineers aren't necessarily feeling the same pain as a Ukrainian engineer.
Right.
Yeah,
we call it pressure. You have. It's one of the key elements of innovation is you need to have pressure, and Ukraine has that, and NATO doesn't, or not enough.
Kind of sucks we have to be in a war where people are dying to have.
Well, the second thing is proximity.
Yeah.
And where do you have engineers as proximate to warfighters as you have in Ukraine?
Yeah.
And some of the warfighters are engineers themselves.
Yes.
Yeah. I thought it'd be an interesting business model for me, that I could maybe find some of these technologies and I could sell them here.
Well,
I can sell it better here than they could.
We have 22 different companies that we would love to have selling. So.
Yeah, I mean, if it's similar to if I'm already having conversations with customers for this, why not throw in a couple other products? Get more sales team efficiency.
Yeah, exactly.
I already pay these fucking guys a lot.
I don't think the listeners can see what's on the table here, but you got a couple FPV drones down here that have motors.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that those motors have Chinese magnets in them.
Oh, yeah, I'm pretty sure too.
Well,
we just being Chinese motors themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the motors themselves are probably Chinese. Yeah. Well, we have a company in Ukraine that makes these motors.
These brushless motors?
Yeah, with no Chinese.
Yeah. Have you seen the Do they have like the cool machines that do the windings?
Yes,
Yeah,
they just they were hand wrapping them, but now they have
the windings.
Yeah. No, but they make 50,000 units a month.
I mean, that's amazing. I mean, they need to. But they're probably okay. So that's 50,000 a month, but they are probably selling them all in Ukraine because like there's so much demand, right?
Well, now, yeah, but
they
they've
can increase
already
capacity and maybe sell some here.
Yeah, they're doing a couple of ventures, joint ventures across Europe now. The demand is huge. I mean, like for motors,
It's huge.
there was only like 3 Chinese companies that were doing motors, and couple of Western ones. But the price point for Western motors is like a couple of times more expensive, and they would still use Chinese magnets.
Yeah.
And our motors would be like 15 to 20% more expensive than Chinese and won't use Chinese magnets.
Nice. Okay, we're going to go through a lot of your portfolio, but before we do that, I want to step back because we haven't done this in a while. What's the current state over there? Like boots on the ground, like what's going on?
Well, it's pretty cold weather now, so Russia intensified attacks. They're trying to make a couple of large cities unlivable. So, yeah, there's heat, electricity problems. But overall population have adjusted to this. Government is doing what they can to protect critical infrastructure. So it's not as bad as it's on the news. So still more than 30 million people live in the country on a day-to-day basis, go to work. And yeah, people are determined. It's not like we're in a depressive state that we're going to lose the war. Like no one believes in the peace deal, frankly, and even if there's one, we're not going to go for giving up more territory for nothing. So personally, I am like determined to go for as long as it's needed, like
locked in,
because it's an existential thing for us. Like that's what many people in the U.S. don't get. We just don't have a choice. Like if we stop, we die. That's simple as that.
They need to hear that.
Yeah. And I'm an American, and so I have a more removed perspective on this, but my feeling is Ukraine is totally geared up for another 2 years of full-out war. The Europeans just have basically guaranteed the funding for the next 2 years of the war, but to hold the line, not to defeat Russia. And I think Dennis and I and the entire MITS team, we have 24 people, are committed to defeating Russia.
Yeah, so
because it's possible.
It is possible.
It is,
but it would require the United States doesn't fund Ukraine anymore, and Europe does, but it would require Europe to essentially double the amount of funding that it provides Ukraine, and it would have to take off some of the handcuffs on deep strikes because, what is Russia? Russia is, a gas station chain run by a mafia.
Yeah.
Right? And so if you take out their gas stations, the mafia doesn't have its money. And Ukraine knows where every gas station is. They know how to take out each one. They make the equipment domestically to do it. Like they make cruise missiles. They have IRBMs. Like they just don't have the money to produce them in the scale that's required. And if they were provided with the money, they could defeat Russia.
Yeah. And so, but the Russians have nukes.
The Russians have nukes, but do you think the Russians are going to use nukes when the wind blows directly from Kyiv to Moscow?
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, it literally does.
Yeah,
Look at a wind map.
Yeah, it's like really I didn't even think about that. That's a good point. It's really close. The wind, So yeah, they probably won't. But having nuclear powers is like.
Well, and the other thing is, Russia is really Moscow. Has colonized this half of a continent.
Yeah,
and everything gets sucked into Moscow. If you look at Moscow, GDP per capita in Moscow is the same as it is in Poland. The rest of Russia, the GDP is less than the GDP per capita of China. So 20% of Russia does not have indoor plumbing. Like it is an extractive economy, all designed to serve the seat of the empire. There's only one target that you need to take out in Russia. If you take out the Kremlin, you've taken out Russia. Whereas Europe, much more distributed target base. So I don't think they're going to go nuclear.
Yeah, that makes sense. Have you been to Moscow?
I've never been to Russia, and now I don't think I'll ever be.
I've been to Moscow once. Yeah, it was 2009.
There was times when we worked with them like 15 years ago. I mean, for me, the wars started in 2014. That's actually when it started. Yeah.
That was the first. What's the history lesson here? Gen Z girl, do you know what happened? She's like, no. How old are you?
It was occupation of Crimea, and then this fake rebels in Donbass, and then Russian army invaded on August 24th of 2014. It was after Maidan revolution.
Yeah.
So it's actually happening 12th year now in a row. Yeah, and I witnessed it from the very beginning. So yeah, just a lot of people prior to 22 forgot that there was a war. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was like 2014, and then there was like a 2 or 3 year pause or something, right?
There was never a pause. That's a misconception.
Oh, really?
Like at least from 2014 to 2022, every day someone died at the front line. It was just low intensity conflict. Yeah, around 10,000 people after the active phase of hostilities in February 2015 died on the Ukrainian front, on the Ukrainian side.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people don't know this.
Yeah.
No, Ukraine doesn't get very good coverage in the Western media. I mean, the New York Times today, published an article about some, Russian dissident who's been treated unfairly in Europe.
What?
Like, it's pathetic. It's pathetic. There's very little on-the-ground coverage of Ukraine by Western media.
Do you know I think one of Putin's daughters, of one of his wives, lives in like France. Have you heard of that chick? She's like a server, a waitress.
In the Netherlands, I think.
Or somewhere.
Putin's daughters.
There's like one of them that's like a waitress
somewhere.
Or something. It doesn't like her dad or something. Daddy issues.
Yeah.
Or something. Which could make sense, I guess.
He doesn't seem that warm and cuddly.
No. Have you seen the picture of him with like his shirt off riding the horse or whatever? So ridiculous.
Yeah.
So we can defeat him. How are you? Are you trying to like build a coalition of support to like get more funding, or what's the mission to do this?
Well, yeah, our way is asymmetric warfare, fighting with tech. That's why you've seen this drone innovation coming into place. And that was pretty natural for Ukrainians to do that because we were the defense industrial base of the Soviet Union. So ICBMs, Soviet ICBMs were designed in Ukraine. Like the Bulwart Sputnik, it's actually, it was designed and made in Ukraine. The first space rocket was designed in Ukraine. So like you have R&D centers all over Ukraine, and Ukraine has been historically a component manufacturer. And final assembly always happened in Russia for legacy systems like airplanes, etc. But we totally can build our own stuff, and we've started doing that in an asymmetric way. So what needs to be done is funding inside the country, is capital expenses for scaling of production of the things that work, okay, and making them work in an automated way. So basically, our strategic leverage could be like really efficient operational drone swarms on scale, and scale comes with efficient costs, and Ukraine can totally do it. And the race is about that now. So I think it's to our benefit that the war doesn't end now, because we have a chance to actually do that first. And whoever does that first and deploys that on scale, that's a strategic weapon akin to nuclear.
Do you think that you'd like the fact you want like larger scale factories in Ukraine, stuff like that?
Absolutely.
More investment there. Would you put it like really far west, or where do you put it?
Yeah, you put it west, but
you make it distributed manufacturing. You bury it.
I mean, remember, Ukraine produces in scale today.
Yeah.
Ukraine makes more FPV drones than all of NATO combined.
For sure.
It makes more ground drones. One company in our portfolio, 10 Core, makes more ground drones than
like
all of
vehicles
NATO
or
combined.
boats?
Ground vehicles.
Okay, ground vehicles.
It makes more howitzers than all of NATO combined. So it's not like Ukraine can't produce at scale. Ukraine, though, lacks capital investment.
Yeah. And
almost no private capital from the West has gone into Ukraine during this phase of the war. And it's
a real shame.
It's a shame. Now, I think there's a couple of reasons for that. One is, Western companies with their own defense industrial bases have no interest in seeing Ukraine create its own defense industrial base to compete with them.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you look at all the military aid from the U.S. It wasn't into Ukrainian products. It was sending things from Lockheed and Raytheon and General Dynamics to Ukraine. Just this week, The European Commission wanted to buy some more Patriot missiles for Ukraine, and France said no. Spend it on France SAM-Ts. Spend it in France. And I think that
it's not very team focused.
No, every country with a defense industrial base, their number one concern is to protect their own defense industrial base.
Yeah.
And so, every country makes its own howitzers. Every country makes its own tanks. Every country makes its own fighter planes. Like, it's ridiculous. It's not integrated.
Yeah, no, I'm doing a deal with a foreign country, and they want to co-produce. I have to produce over there, yeah, which is fine. I don't, but it's like part of the game.
Well, especially the cost structure of production in Ukraine is 40% or less than the cost of producing the same thing in Europe. So, yes, we can produce anywhere in Europe at double the cost.
Yeah.
Does it matter? Well, it matters for Ukraine because they're a resource-constrained country. The U.S., it seems like the more you charge for a product, the more likely they are to buy it.
Yeah, and it's weird here. Yeah. I know. So wait, the opportunity seems to be, like I was saying earlier, just bringing that technology here and selling it like a company like ours.
Yes, but Ukraine has, technology export restrictions, the same as the U.S. U.S. has ITAR. Ukraine has similar, but it can be done.
Well, they have Kongsberg America.
Yes.
There's Kongsberg.
Yeah, co-production and exports is totally fine, but we still need to win the war first,
Yes.
And what I think a lot of people in the West fail to realize is that, like, Russia does not have a reason to stop. Ukraine is just the first chapter.
Yeah, Estonia.
They're going to go for Baltics.
Baltic states, Poland.
It's not that they might go; they will go. The question is when.
Yeah, we talk about this a lot. It's in their blood. They have to. They have no choice. But
and look, they've mobilized 1 million people. So what do you think? They will just stop and send that 1 million people home to rape and pillage back home, or what? They're
going to keep.
Yeah, they will.
They'll never stop.
So under Putin, Russia has militarized all of society. Like, kids are going to the equivalent of Hitler youth camps now in Russia, right? The whole curriculum in schools is about this Eurasianism, about the moral imperative of Russia to defend Russia claims they're fighting a defensive war in Ukraine. Okay, that the West is attacking Russia and they have to defend themselves. This is the perversion.
Have you seen that? Some of our people, our pundits, believe that. It's like crazy, like Russian disinformation campaigns.
Yeah,
have you seen that shit?
Well,
it's wild to see on Twitter and stuff.
Yeah. And the reality is, since the fall of the Soviet Union, the West has invested hundreds of billions of dollars in Russia. That they pursued a policy of integration of Russia into the liberal world order. And what we've learned from doing this with Russia is the same lesson we learned from doing it with China. Anything you do with a dictatorship legitimates the dictator and empowers the dictator. It does not make them more like you. It does not export democratic values. And
just gives them more money.
We've made huge mistakes here globally, and the American empire is at a huge risk because of these, very ill-considered
foreign policy things.
We thought, we'll be nice. We'll host 275,000 Chinese students in the U.S. We'll teach them everything we know about chips and quantum and material sciences, and that will be good for America. It's been a disaster.
Oh, it's a disaster. I have a story about this. I went to NeurIPS, which is a computer vision conference, one of the leading computer vision AI conferences in the country, in San Diego. It's like all Chinese papers and all Chinese researchers. Like, they're so far ahead in computer vision in China. It's crazy. They write all the papers.
Yeah,
they write all the software libraries too.
Well, this arrogance of America that no one can innovate like America, that Chinese just steal and copy. No. That was true 30 years ago, okay? But no, they're innovating. I think somebody just came out with the new world ranking of universities, and the Chinese universities are rocketing up there because China's investing tens of billions of dollars in its education system.
And they're bringing back all the information they learned here.
Absolutely.
And then they're doing all the computer vision research, and then they use computer vision on their people, like everywhere, and they have more people. more. I mean,
So another misconception is also that Russia is doing this, by themselves. No, they're just a tool in Chinese hands to destabilize Europe. Like so like Iran is in the Middle East. Like
there is no war without China. There's no war in Ukraine.
And
there is no war in the Middle East.
And they're going to make Russia
China
their resource base in future.
Wow.
However the war ends.
So really, China's at the center of it.
Yeah.
They're brilliant. I mean, in a way, because they will never fight a war themselves, so they can get somebody else to fight for them. They will never fight kinetically what they can do in the cyber or commercial sphere. It's very Sun Tzu.
You'll like this. I got a little tipsy at a conference once, and I did a little speech in front of a bunch of generals and stuff, and I started it. I was like, I'm teaching my 3.5-year-old Mandarin because we're fucked.
Yeah, exactly. So they can talk to their boss. Yeah, exactly.
I was like, they were like, whoa, Steve's crazy.
No, but literally, look, they think in centuries. They were planning this out for a couple of decades already and executing this for a couple of decades. And they want revenge on the West for what they call a century of national humiliation.
Yeah.
And they want to get revenge on
Japan, too.
On Japan, on UK, France, Germany, US, and Russia, actually, because Russia got a large chunk of Chinese territory.
Yeah, they kind of
because of that.
They kind of work together, but they also really don't like each other.
They're frenemies.
Yeah, they're frenemies. Like I was a product manager back in the day, and I had a Chinese development team on my team and a Russian one, and they hated working with each other. Yeah. They really hate.
Yeah, they will use Russia's resource. Yeah. Consider in the world of scarce resource, what's more important, control of the financial system like the West does, or control of the world's resources like China has?
Yeah. I mean, it's wild for China. It's out there. What do you think's going to happen in Iran right now? Have you been following anything there?
Yeah. There's never been an Islamic state that has converted to democratic secularism. There's two examples of this that have happened. One is Indonesia, and the other is Senegal. But nothing in the Middle East. For it to go from an Islamic republic to a democratic secular state would require two key things. First of all, you'd have to get the IGRC on the side of the people rather than on the side of the government. They seem to have no interest in doing that. I guess you could counter it if the military sided with the people and was willing to fight a civil war with the IGRC. Yeah. That might work, but that doesn't seem to be going on. And then secondly, you have to provide an out for the clerics. And generally, you have to let them participate in the political process. They have their own political party. Mm-hmm. And the opposition doesn't seem interested in doing that. So I don't think you're going to see a change in regime in Iran because of these uprisings. And
it was a democratic in the 70s, right, or something.
It wasn't democratic. It was it was a autocracy of the Shah, but it was westernizing.
Yeah.
Right.
My parents met in Tehran in the 70s. In American high school.
Women had far more rights under the Shah than they do under. And yes, they had their own Cheka there, their own secret police that, was brutal on political repression.
But it was.
But so did the.
It was westernizing.
Yes, but
Iranian women are hot. I think we can all agree on this topic, right? I mean,
no comment.
No comment.
My wife is Irish.
Yeah.
But yes, is the new regime better than the old regime? Probably not. Probably not for the most Iranians. And
they make the shahed, so that's why I was trying to see if we could get rid of them. We don't want more shaheds out there.
No. Well, and Dennis's point is that it's not just Russia fighting Ukraine. It is this access of autocracy. They're integrating their militaries. So there's a lot of Iranian engineers in Russia. There's a lot of Russia recruits African women to work in. I can't pronounce the name of that plant. Alaburga.
Wait, they really do.
Yelabuga.
Alabuga.
Yelabuga.
Wait, they're recruiting like black women?
Yeah.
They don't like black people that much, though.
No, but
they're very xenophobic.
It's a form of trafficking.
Yeah.
They recruit and they say, "Oh, come to Russia, you'll get an education and we'll pay you." And then
because when I went to Russia, I went with my black friend, and they looked. I mean, anywhere we went, we just got stared at like fucking. It was crazy. He was terrified while he was there.
Russia is inherently a religio-racist system, right? Mm-hmm. The church is an extension of the state there.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's all about conformity.
Yeah, I went with a gay guy and a black guy, and it was just
Yeah.
it was just terrifying. I'm telling you, they did not like the gay guy either, really much.
Well, I think
It's like a script for a joke. You know?
Yeah, no, but it's real though. It's actually real though.
Well, I think, we in the U.S. and in Europe, we misunderstand Russia and we treat it as if it's a European country. It is not a European country. It does not have a European mentality.
No.
Up until 1861, the vast majority of Russians were enslaved, right? Yeah. And they have this enslaved mentality. Don't do anything extra. Don't stick up. Do whatever the man tells you to do. Like, it's a very subservient society. There is no Russian resistance. Very, very small in a percentage of the population.
And even that resistance is also imperialistic.
Yes.
So, like, Ukrainians know for a fact that, all Russians, even if they're opposition to Putin, they still, if you ask them, like, who Crimea belongs to, or like, what would you do with Ukraine, they would still think, oh, Ukraine is a part of Russia. Yeah, and not an independent country.
They're great. It's great. It's scary. Yeah, that's why they produce such great, like, Dostoevsky and stuff. Great authors, huh? Because it's so dark there when they're in the gulags.
Well, they've just exported this notion of great Russian culture. Yeah, some of the examples were good, of course.
Well, I'm just saying, like,
their mode is disinformation. There's a book called Disinformation. You should read it. It's written by the former head of intelligence of Romania, who fled in the 80s. To the U.S.
Let's put that in the show notes.
Yeah, and he's explaining how KGB used Romanian intelligence to do different ops in the West, and how they've basically had this methodology of disinformation for
they mind control
for a century.
That's
why you have this disinformation. Now with all the tech, they just became much more efficient. That's it.
But Russia has this, cult of victimhood. We're all victims because we were enslaved. We were victims, and now, under communism we were victims, and now the West is trying to suppress us. We're victims. Do you know what the word Cossack means?
No.
The Cossacks come from Ukraine.
What does it mean?
It's a Turkic word, and it means wild man or free man.
Free man, yeah.
The Ukrainians were not serfs. The Ukrainians were free men. The Ukrainian culture is not the Russian culture. Ukraine is a crossroads of multiple cultures.
Yeah.
It's a very heterogeneous society. There's a whole different kinds of ethnicities there. It's
people don't
just,
know that.
It's
really.
not. It's
till Second
Russia.
World War, we were like 25-30% Jewish in population.
And it makes sense. Yeah, looking where it geographically is, it's definitely more of a melting pot than Russia.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, Russia itself is an empire. It's not Russia. It's the Russian Federation.
Mm-hmm.
There are 100 different ethnic minorities in the Russian Federation, some of whom are not that happy about being in the Russian Federation.
Yeah, they don't, but not much of a choice, I guess.
No, it's an empire.
Yeah.
It's an empire.
So Putin's going to continue from here, just long drawn out war.
Absolutely. And every time he'll play a game, and every time all the negotiations for peace or ceasefire, he'll move the goalpost. He's not serious about this.
Yeah.
And anyone after him is going to do the same. So the next guy's going to be actually worse.
Yeah, it seems odd that we keep trying to do like peace summits in Mar-a-Lago.
What I don't understand is why Europe lets the U.S. negotiate peace in Ukraine, like when the U.S. isn't even funding Ukraine. Like, it just seems like, why would you hand over your security to the U.S. to negotiate for you?
Yeah, didn't Biden give him some missiles, but said he couldn't use them or something?
Yeah,
I forgot the actual story.
Yeah, ATACMS. That you couldn't. So you can deploy U.S. weapons within occupied Ukraine.
Yeah,
but you can only deploy U.S. weapons on Russian soil within a certain range if it's to repel an imminent attack. That's not what Ukraine needs. I mean, that's helpful. I mean, it's better than nothing. But what Ukraine needs is long-range strike capabilities. Yep. They need Tomahawks. They need, things that can take out Russian oil refineries in Siberia. There is a what's it called? Yamal it was on the Kara Sea. Kara Sea, is that what it's called? It's the northern coast of Russia. Okay, it is one of the largest LNG terminals in the world. It is 20% owned by Total Energies of France. There's 16 LNG tankers that go back and forth between Yamal and Europe. Okay, like, and those half the ships are owned by a UK company, the other half are owned by a Greek company. Is that standing with Ukraine? Is that
No.
like you?
Only if they took the profit and gave it to Ukraine or something.
Oh, they don't do that. Europe seems to want to have its cake and eat it too. It wants to have optionality on Russia and be able to be back involved in Russia.
Well, what are the Germans doing? Rheinmetall. Has Rheinmetall come to the rescue yet?
Well, they're a
one
very
of the
good partner
major
for
suppliers. Yeah, they're one of the major suppliers. They moved first, actually, to do sort of joint ventures with Ukrainian industry.
Okay.
But those are purely, like contractual relations where they've supplied X number of APCs, and then Ukraine would repair them and stuff like that. So it's not real production.
Pull up the Rheinmetall stock chart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think they're one of the most gainers since 22, and then their stock price.
Yeah, I know, it's been phenomenal.
Which is obviously not what we really want to celebrate, but it has been crazy, right? Oh yeah, I actually said this on a couple podcasts, but they've added more in market cap than the entire
20
US.
times, yeah.
Than the entire, the more just in raw numbers too, of dollar amount, than the entire U.S. defense industry, including Anduril. Value combined. Yeah. Like if you look at every defense tech startup here in Rheinmetall, if you just put all your money in Rheinmetall, you would have done better as a VC investor instead of U.S. defense companies.
So basically,
could you have told me that in 2024?
We probably could have in 2024.
Look, I think that the bottom line in all of this is yes. Look, of course, it's in the interest of Western countries to prolong the war, to drain Russia out of resources for cheap. Okay, that's kind of natural, and that's what defense industries and primes are doing since 2014, not
terrible.
since
this
2022.
Is a terrible
They're
thing.
doing this since 2020, since 2014. But the problem is that this is actually a trap, because Ukraine is the answer to European and Western security, because we were the defense industrial base, and Western defense industrial base is supply chain constrained by China now. In drones, it's 90%. In legacy systems, it's somewhere from 20 to 50%. Like it's public information. Studies have been done on this.
Like
Ukraine, Ukraine does not receive enough Patriot missiles, not because no one wants to sell them to us. It's because you can't produce enough. So if we're talking about it's like defense industry 101. Like wars are won by scale and by cost associated with scale, and Western defense industry does not produce enough weapons to fight modern war. You cannot shoot down $500 drones with a $1 million missile. As simple as that. Yeah, and the answer to do that is Ukraine. Because we have 14 trillion of critical minerals, and because we have the defense industrial base. So it's in the interest of NATO to integrate Ukraine as fast as possible.
And it's a geographic shield too. It's right in the spot.
It's such a no-brainer. And finally, it has gotten into minds of politicians and
in NATO.
We feel the breakthrough in this narrative, but the problem is that we're running out of time. So Russia, backed by China, is now scaling systems that work like Shaheeds. Like Shaheeds are not Iranian anymore. All the last Shaheeds are China. Chinese supply chain.
Damn.
Yeah, and we're losing. Ukraine is able to win, but we're losing every day now because they're scaling what works much faster. So European capitals have now KPIs to be able to...
Gen X girl.
Gen Z girl. Gen Z girl. What do you got?
I'm just curious, what do you guys think of Fedorov? That's his name, right? Fedorov.
Yeah, he just became Minister of Defense. He's
a millennial. So
James?
Yeah.
Accent. Gen Z girl's even bringing the accent.
I'm half Russian, so I don't know, like...
Sorry.
Spy detected. It was a trap we walked into.
What's the other half? What's the other half?
Brazilian.
Okay.
All right. Okay, we're safe.
Yeah, so From my observation, this is the best government Zelensky's put together. Fedorov was very successful as the Minister of Digital Transformation. Like the things you can do on your phone as a citizen in Ukraine, they've leapfrogged not just the U.S. but Europe as well. Your passport's on your phone, your driver's license on your phone. Like there's 40.
Almost every government service is on the phone.
Yeah.
Just in a couple of clicks.
It's just incredible.
Very good UX, UI. So,
and our third partner, Anton Melnyk, was part of that team that put together the Ministry of Digital Transformation. So
amazing.
So he, as the Minister of Defense, he's not from the Ministry of Defense, but he's run Brave One, which is the DIU of Ukraine and has invested in a lot of their startups. He's the one who really pushed drones and drone manufacturing in Ukraine. So I think he seems to be a true Ukrainian patriot.
Yeah.
So I'm very enthusiastic about him.
So then you think Zelensky's doing well? Then he's still in the seat.
I think Zelensky is probably not the optimal president of Ukraine. Like internationally, he's very good when you put him, against another leader, and he's a good PR guy for Ukraine. Yeah. And he will go down in history with this, I don't need a ride, I need a gun. Like what an inspiring statement. But in terms of an administrator, a technocrat, probably not the ideal guy.
Yeah, that's what you mean.
Yeah, but who is?
I
don't think anybody in Ukraine is fighting to go back to what Ukraine was. Is that accurate?
Yeah, for sure.
I think this is a Build Back Better strategy amongst the 30 million Ukrainian people who remained in the country to fight. They're fighting for a future, not to preserve a past.
Yeah. How many people left?
10 million people left.
Okay. But not, so still a lot stayed.
A lot stayed.
Yeah. They're hunkering down.
Yeah.
I produced a movie about Ukrainian dancers. Did you see that?
No.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
About during the war. It follows them during the war.
Oh,
it's interesting.
That's cool.
Yeah,
where can we watch that?
You got it, Jack? Well, yeah, it's called A Match in a Haystack.
Okay.
It's a documentary about Ukrainian. Yeah.
Put that in the program notes.
Me and Misty Copeland, an American ballerina.
Oh, really? Do you know Isabel Boynton?
No.
Oh.
No. But this is it, yeah. I'll send it to you guys. But it's basically a leading contemporary dance group in Ukraine, and it follows them through like the war.
Well, I think this is really
because I was just trying to like support some like Ukrainian art,
Yeah,
that's really cool.
And it's a really tough film because it's like they're questioning themselves, should they continue dancing and like trying to live a normal life during this.
Well, that was my
war.
first reaction. So my first trip to Ukraine was April of 2024, and I'm in Kyiv, and we're going out to a really nice Italian restaurant, and people are well dressed, and the service is really excellent. And I thought I was going to a war. Like, this doesn't feel like a war to me. And I said to one of the young women who was at dinner, I said, what's going on here? We have to live. We have to live. We have to preserve our culture. We have to preserve our economy. Like, otherwise, what are we fighting for?
Yeah.
And I think that's something that's hard for us who live in comfort and ease to process. But Ukrainian culture has resurged from this war, and people's need for culture, their emotional need for that culture, is really strong in Ukraine, and it's something that unites and binds the country. So, I give you, chapeau for producing that movie.
Yeah.
There's another good movie out, Porcelain War. If you've
Porcelain
seen
War,
that.
never seen it.
Yeah, about.
What's it about? You watch that?
Oh, you should see that. It's about artists in Kharkiv who they're from Crimea, but who they're porcelain artists, but he's fighting in a special operations team, and how they're training civilians, amateurs, to fight professional Russian soldiers. It's a really compelling documentary. I was crying.
And you should watch Winter on Fire. It's the documentary of how it all started in 2014, how the revolution started with the student beating by the police ordered by the pro-Russian president back then. Yeah, that's how it all started. It's amazing.
Who was the pro-Russian president?
Yanukovych.
Okay,
He fled. Yeah.
He lives in
we-
Rostov-on-Don now.
yeah.
Oh man, okay.
Yeah. He fled after next morning after people were fed up with this because they started shooting protesters and like a couple of people went on
Yeah.
the podium and said, "Man, we're gonna kill you tomorrow morning," and he fled.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, this is it for you. Yeah. I can see that. Well, that's like a really strong data point that the Ukrainians don't want to be with Russia.
Yeah.
They got rid of their pro-Russian president.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't know how the Russians can counteract that fact.
No.
Like, that's a fact that I didn't even know, but
Yeah. No, I think, before this war, Ukrainians were fine with Russia, and now they realize that Russia was never honest with them, was never treated them as a partner, and the Ukrainian identity is not the Russian identity, and just because they were speaking Russian, Ukraine did not make them Russian.
Let's talk a little. Let's switch gears to a little
and
technology.
even Gen Z girls,
They know.
her
Look, we were
family left
speaking
Russia.
Yeah.
She's here,
We're-
right?
Look,
they
we're
left Russia. Yeah,
Well, her family left,
Yeah,
right?
see, fled. Yeah,
Okay.
still left.
Right?
I have a friend that she was in one of my classes, and her parents just moved with her to here. They moved like last year from
Yeah.
Russia.
Yeah, they're fleeing. They're fleeing. You heard it from their source.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, what do you guys? Let's switch to tech a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's talk USVs first. How are they being used in the Black Sea primarily, or where? Do you guys are familiar with that market, like the boats?
Yeah. We have a company that
Okay, tell me about it.
So,
We do a hybrid USV UUV designed for Baltics.
Oh, amazing. Okay. So,
so-
by the way, just a quick side, USVs are one of my favorite topics on the podcast because there's 34 American USB companies and I make fun of it a lot
yes.
because it's like there's so many of them.
But eventually they'll pick one and the others will die.
Pretty much.
right?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, mostly, yeah.
So, different boats for different seas, right? Different sea states, different depths, different targets. Our company makes this hybrid UUV, USV.
Okay. So it can submerge.
Yep.
for the Baltic Sea state.
Does it like submerge and
Yep.
loiter and then come up and
Yeah.
hit or something like that?
Yeah.
No, actually, it
Or the
will
other way.
loiter. Oh, yeah, the other way.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah. And and the Baltic is a very shallow sea. It's a very choppy sea. So it's a different boat than you would use in the Black Sea or in the open ocean.
How much? Like, how
And
many?
again, the
yeah.
main thing is cost and scale there.
Yeah. How many? Like, is there a lot of operations in the water right now on both sides, or is it land war primarily?
Well, because Ukraine is the most successful navy of the 21st century, right? It's sunk more enemy ship tonnage, and yet the U.S. Navy in the Red Sea fought the Houthis to a draw. They didn't win, which I just find ironic.
Against their cardboard planes.
Yeah. So Ukraine reopened the sea lanes in the Black Sea by defeating the Russian Navy and bottling it up in the Black Sea. So there's not that active a sea war right now, but every once in a while the Russians try something and the
boats
Ukrainians send them.
And we now started hitting their tankers.
Yeah. So this is the thing.
As well.
So there's 600 tankers in the Russian shadow fleet. Ukraine has either detained or got 10 of them taken out of service, but that's 590 left. I've been advocating for privateering. I think the government of Ukraine should authorize the Somali pirates to go after the Russian shadow fleet.
Letters of marque.
And this sounds very silly, right? But it's not as silly. The more you get into it, you think, oh, that could make sense.
No, it could work.
Because pirated oil is $1 billion industry a year. Like this oil piracy exists.
This is a soundbite. This is good.
Yeah. So why not
Yeah.
weaponize it for the Ukrainian state and legitimize some of these guys and give some of these pirates a path out to legitimacy.
Let's give these pirates a career path.
Yeah. Exactly.
Let's go.
But also scale up because again, back to the gas station run by a mafia. The more we can impact Russia's financing system, which is based primarily on oil, the less they can do against Ukraine.
Okay. Are we doing? I know Russians are using a lot of glide bombs still. Is that right? Are
Very-
we? Is
almost
Ukraine using glide
impossible.
bombs or?
Some, yes. There's no systemic counter against glide bombs, unfortunately, yet, but we're working on it.
Yeah, glide bombs are tough to counter.
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
long range and high up and
But we do have
I
a
mean,
company that
against
makes...
initial ones, like the older ones with analog guidance, EW works, but now they've obviously
Hardened.
Yeah, now they're digitalized, so yeah, it's literally only kinetic. So what's not present yet in the tech scene in Ukraine is cheap air defense missiles.
Yeah.
And yeah, whoever
Or
does
anywhere.
that,
Cheap
or
air defense
anywhere.
missiles is tough. I
Yeah,
heard
it's
there's a lot.
tough.
There's people
The
trying
price
to work
point
on it.
for a cheap air defense missile should be like 5K, or
Yeah.
up to 10K. Yeah.
We're getting close. I think we're getting
Yeah,
close.
I think they're
And-
in Ukraine. I think they're developing that, right?
Well, we have the Octopus, which is a pretty effective thing. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it's a drone interceptor. I mean, drone interceptor is a really temporary solution, and yeah, it could work against ISR, of course, and against Shaheeds, but still you have a limitation. On the number of trained pilots. It's still piloted. There's a limitation on automated targeting there.
Yeah.
So in any way, if we're talking counter-drone defense, it should be multi-layered. So it's EW, interceptors, it's cheap missiles, and
Switchblades?
and a machine gun. No, a machine gun. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
and turrets.
Yeah, and turrets. Yeah, of course.
I was familiar with the, I don't know who made it, but the Katron drone.
Katran?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. Do you know about the?
No,
You
I
mean
don't.
it's-
No, Gen
is
Z
it
girl knows.
USV?
Gen Z girl knows more about defense than me.
USV?
I think
Yeah.
it's USV, and it can shoot like 100 kilometers.
How do you spell it?
Katran, I think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty cool. It's
Yeah.
Is it USB?
Well, that's pretty
USB.
cool. Yeah.
Looks like a render though.
Yeah.
Looks like a render. A lot of renders in
it
the
exists. It
a lot of
works,
renders
yeah.
in the U.S.
No, this one exists. It
Yeah.
works. It's
Yeah, yeah.
deployed. Yeah.
I'm just saying, U.S. industry has a lot of renders.
Well, Helsing too.
Yeah, and again, about just to your
Yeah.
point about USVs, like again, cost matters the most, and secondly, the ConOps matters. Like, and ConOps in the civil sense as well. Like, how do you protect supply chain routes? How do you, in the new reality of tech accessible by terrorist groups everywhere globally that can have small USVs just bringing down tankers, right? So this is not just about specific tech and specific companies winning. It's about governments that need to rethink the whole
approach.
the whole approach, the
strategy
system.
has to- the strategy has to change. It has to change, or it's just going to go on forever, and then they'll eventually win. Russia would, I think.
Russia and China will, because they have, they've been preparing for this and they have resources to do it. I mean, drone swarms were, ideated by DARPA in the early 2000s. Like, U.S. wasn't able to execute on that, but China was able to do that. So,
well, it was an American VC that made this company.
yeah.
Yes.
Which I don't name on blast because maybe I'll raise from them someday. And I have no choice, bro. But they know who they are. Yeah. They know fucking who they are. But a bunch of switchblades were bought by Ukrainians. But I heard that these.
They
were given.
They were given initially by the U.S., but they were not used because they were designed with GPS targeting.
I heard the EW susceptibility was a problem, right? Basically, like
of
GPS
course,
denied.
Yeah.
And Ukraine has
and
an
too
indigenous...
expensive.
Yeah, they're
just too expensive.
They're expensive for what the battle has become.
Yes.
Yeah, that's actually one of the criticisms that they've had. That I talked with their head of sales. He has on the podcast. He came here and he said, just like the price. So they had they're trying to get cheaper and cheaper. I mean, that's where it's trending.
Though they have to get like 20 times cheaper.
Yeah,
There's no way to compete with Ukraine's cost structure though, because Ukraine's cost structure is just innately 40% or less than what it is.
Like
in
for
the US
in the country,
manufacturing,
just like the labor,
land,
energy, sense of urgency.
Everything's cheaper. Just
but there are other conflicts breaking out, like Cambodia and stuff. I've heard, and like those are other wars where there's drones. So maybe
Cambodia, Taiwan, Thailand.
Yeah,
Thailand,
maybe Ukrainians are going to sell products there.
Absolutely.
Make production.
Yeah, well, the key a key event that happened last year was this Operation Spiderweb, where Ukraine targeted Russian strategic bombers deep in the rear with drones flying out of containers.
Yep.
So what that means in reality, what that means for future is that no one is safe So a couple of guys with a truck now can hit critical infrastructure everywhere globally. So I think U.S. is thinking pretty seriously about how to protect stadiums during FIFA World Cup during the summer.
I have a hot take here.
And it's not only...
we're not going to do any protection. That's my
No
take.
protection?
No.
Not enough time.
I just think that they won't move that quick, and then like the cost benefit analysis is like off because your drone's still going to get through anyway with the protection. So you may as well just like lose 30,000.
Not with the unwave system.
I mean, maybe.
Look,
but the point is, I think I bet you if we had to bet and we revisit the bet, there's a poly market on this. Like, I don't think we'll put anything on the stadiums or anything around it. I think we'll talk.
That's a very interesting thought.
I think we'll talk about it a lot, but I think.
Well, we're trying to sell a system to DHS for that purpose.
Yeah. No, I understand.
So fuck you, Steve.
Listen, we're all trying to work with the DHS. I'm still gonna fuck myself. This is what I like. Let's get him as a perennial guest, bi-weekly. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That got me fired up.
To share with you was kind of what our approach is to what we're doing in Ukraine, right? So, MITS Capital is the largest defense investment group for dual use and this stuff in Ukraine. Like we've got 23 companies that we're associated with. We've got a venture capital business, and we've got 20 companies in that. And then we've got a roll-up platform, a consolidation platform called MITS Industries that we've got 2 companies we put into that. And then Dennis has a really cool biotech company on the side. So we do 3D printing of bioabsorbable bone material.
That's cool.
Instead of if you get your jaw blown off, right now they put a titanium piece in there. Well, we can print a material that will get replaced by your own bone over a 3-year period. Yeah. Right. And it's very cool.
Wow.
And we just passed certification. It's called Biodruk, BIODROK.
It's bioprinting
in
Ukrainian.
Yeah. And bone is the first, but we'll do other tissues over time.
That's insane. I've never seen this before.
Yeah, the ultimate model is decentralized cloud manufacturing of human tissue. So you would have containers as 3D printing rooms, and that's inherently dual use, and you ship them either to a civil hospital or military installation, and you can print bones and other tissues as necessary.
Is a good use case
and sell it as a service because it makes it cheap.
This is a good use case of additive manufacturing.
It is additive manufacturing.
For the human body.
Yeah.
That is cool.
We can rebuild him. We can make him better, faster,
stronger. I love it.
Print humans on Mars,
But but this is really cool because titanium is expensive and it's not a biomaterial, right? So
body actually rejects it in 5 to 10 years. So you have all those hip surgeries that are now done in the U.S. Like they need to redo this every 5 to 10 years, and you can only redo it twice actually. So then a person becomes totally disabled.
The proximate driver of this was how do we reduce amputations? And as Dennis said, we can put this in a clean room that can be dropped by a helicopter, trucked into a field hospital. So we can do it. The closer you get to the time of trauma, the more likely.
This is way better than Valinor's shipping container with a bed inside of it. Have you seen that?
That's cool too, though.
They put a bed in. They put a bed.
I mean, containerization is obvious, solution for future
they said that you could sleep on the front lines
war.
After you got hit by a drone.
Yeah.
That's what they say.
But our strategy is primarily in components. It's like we don't make drones; we make drones better.
Yeah.
We do make some drones. We have several drone companies, but most of our companies do things like thermal imaging cameras, drone motors, gimbals, laser targeting,
communication, AI.
As the VCs would say, the picks and shovels approach.
Exactly, and so we can sell into a variety of different end use cases. Yeah. It's pretty cool stuff, and it's stuff that either doesn't exist in NATO or exists at 40% or less of the price.
I'm sure you've got great GPS denied technology.
We do.
I mean,
oh yes.
It's like probably one of the most critical things there.
Yes, but there's a lot of players in that market now. So what happens is someone comes up with something really cool and at a certain cost, and then this war is all about innovation. Like you have to be constantly making it either better or cheaper.
Yeah.
And we are really good at making it cheaper. Like one of the things we'll do in Ukraine is we'll start with components sourced anywhere, including China, and we'll get to a solution, and then we'll take the Chinese parts out. Then we'll look for ways. Now that often increases the cost, but generally it's still at a price point that's globally competitive.
Yeah. China is crazy. Like in my experience over my career, it's like when you get a part from China, it's cheaper, it's faster, like machine part versus like machine parts here in the US. Like we have 170 uniquely designed machine parts in this. It's a lot of parts.
Yes.
And the American install base is really not supporting my efforts that well, because it's like they always come in out of tolerance. Like it's a high tolerance.
Oh, right.
So like we have really tight tolerances.
Yeah.
It's a robot that can put a bullet through a FPV. So it's got super tight tolerances. It's very rigid. And then we'll get it like a millimeter off on a through hole, or the diameter will be slightly off by like half a millimeter on a part. And it's just crazy. And if you order it from China, it's perfect. Yeah, it's just really sad.
Well, I know a guy in Wisconsin who might be able to help you.
We're trying to expand. I need to make 1,000 of these, and probably 10,000.
Because he makes parts for Caterpillar and John Deere. That also that very tight tolerance thing.
Yeah.
So I'll put you in touch.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we would love any sort of help. I mean, I'm trying to activate contract manufacturers, so individual component makers, everything.
You're not going to buy your own CNC machines?
No, we're doing it ourselves too. We're doing it all. We're doing our own. We're trying to get the supply base. We're trying to try CMs. I mean, I'm trying it all because like I'm not going to have enough capacity if I don't.
Yeah.
So it's like tough, but it's a lot of product to build. A lot. So I'm trying to get to 20 a month.
Well, send us your schematics and we'll make it in Ukraine for you for half the price.
Honestly, I can send you the full technical data package. I could, and if we could build it, make it there, that's be ideal because then we don't have to ship it. Make them there and then put them right on the front.
And we can use some in Ukraine, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
I think we need to. Yeah, they actually do now. I saw they're already doing this with just manually shooting 50 cals and hitting Shaheds. They're crushing them. So they already get like 90% of Shaheds that they get shot down, right? Or something something high.
90%.
Yeah, 90%.
I don't know how many of the FPVs.
This is the offensive defensive conundrum is that defensively you have to be 100%, but offensively you only have to get one through, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
that's the challenge. But we have one of our companies called Tencor. They make ground drones. They're, we think, one of the largest producers of ground drones in the world.
Yeah.
You could put one of these things on one of theirs, and remote control it. And
we have these on for Terra and overland vehicles testing. But we need to get there's a ground vehicle company in Estonia too, right? Or what's the European? Milrem?
Yeah.
Are they big?
They're quite big. They're owned by Emiratis, by Edge.
Are they? Oh, they are.
Yeah, but
like Calidus?
Look, what the front line has shown is that you don't need large UGVs.
Yeah,
they're just too large of a target.
We lose a third of UGVs.
Yeah, UGV lives like a couple of hours because of speed limitations.
Really
So what you have now on the front line is a kill zone, 15 and 15 kilometers. That's probably expanded to like 20 to 20 kilometers because of the FPV's range. Like humans don't move there. Like
there's a total kill zone.
Yeah, it's like total kill zone of 40 kilometers.
If you get sighted by
miles.
If you get sighted by an enemy drone, you have 9 minutes of life left.
Yeah. So you don't. Yeah, people don't move there. Large objects don't move there.
I'm not coming home.
So that's why it needs cheap and scale.
So there's not a UGV market really in this.
For large UGVs, no. It should be small.
Like Swarm Robotics. Have you seen that one?
It should be small and cheap.
Do you have small ones?
Yeah. All the UGVs in Ukraine are small.
They originally designed.
All the used ones are small.
Can we see one? Can we?
Yeah. Just type in Tencor.
TENCORE.com.
This is really a good segment here, Jack. Because this is not something people realize.
They've produced 2,500 UGVs last year. They'll probably double that this year.
Yeah.
So we don't know the data for sure, but we assume it's the largest UGV company globally, in terms of output.
Is it?
Yep.
Yeah. Let robots fight.
These are smaller. Oh yeah, these are smaller.
Yeah. So we have tracked, and we're about to make wheeled.
Laying
So
mines.
they're used for mine laying. They're used for evacuating wounded. They're used for
Oh yeah, I can see
hauling,
these are much
Yeah.
cheaper.
for logistical support. And they, if you call up
Guess the price
Arc
point in
Robotics, you'll
Ukraine.
see the exact.
I mean, this is
same.
probably
Guess,
30,
guess the
copied
price
us?
point in Ukraine.
30, 40K,
10,
10K,
12. Yes.
12K. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, the
Super cheap.
Yeah.
The base is 8,000, and then you can put
Layers stuff. Yeah,
layers of stuff on it. But Arc Robotics makes the exact same thing for 4 times the price.
Yeah, no. I mean, and then the U.S. all the UGVs in the U.S. are very expensive.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and I like the elegant design. They're just like the track. What do they call those? The wheeled
Tracks.
track wheel. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good design for terrain.
Well, yeah, for some things you want wheels, for some things you want tracks. Ukraine is very muddy, marshy.
Yeah, logistics, mining, firepower.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
How much-
So you can put one of your things
Yeah,
on
how
top
much
of that.
how much weight can it hold?
300 kilograms.
Oh, perfect.
That's
So
the
this could-
first modification.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think the
This could fit,
second
though.
one is like 500 kilos.
Okay, ours can fit because ours is like 250.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
And I don't, does that need bracing, or is it recoilless, or is it?
No, it's it handles that itself. It handles the recoil. The cradle this piece does.
Oh, good. Yeah. Then it could.
We
Yeah.
hold the barrel actually perfectly still, even under motion, with a on-the-move control algorithm. That's why our company's called Allen Control Systems. We're
Right.
we're control
You're control
systems
system. Yeah,
engineers.
yeah.
Yeah, we were electrical engineers when we were kids. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
let's end with a Gen Z girl question.
My generation is all about like ethics. We care so much about that. So I was curious if you guys have wanted to make anything, but you couldn't, or you just didn't want to because of ethical or even regulatory issues.
Like a bioweapon or something?
Yeah. Well, you probably get 2 different answers.
Yeah.
And my answer is war is not an ethical endeavor. There is no ethics in war, really. And if you see what troops have done in Ukraine, it's incredible. But Ukraine needs to adhere by European standards of war because it requires European funding to sustain its war. That being said, a lot of what we do is how do we save lives? How do we save Ukrainian lives? And the original initiative for the termite ground drone was to save Ukrainian lives. Instead of getting 2 soldiers to evacuate a wounded person, you send in a ground drone to evacuate that wounded person. And so you minimize the amount of lives you're risking.
Yeah.
So that's a big part. I mean, I think in Ukraine you would find that Ukrainians don't want to be fighting a war, right? They do this because they have to, and they don't like killing people. And a lot of well, that's not true. Some of them have become pretty murderous. But a lot of times, instead of killing Russian troops, they try and capture them. And there's a lot more of that. How do we capture Russian troops? They're valuable for trading for POWs, but it's, how do we minimize the taking of human life in this while winning? And I don't think that's how the Russians play. We know that's not how the Russians play. Even how they treat their own troops.
By the way, you should look into capturing of Russian troops solely by drones.
I
There were a
haven't seen
couple of
that.
operations like that.
Yeah, it's a combination of ground
but
and air drones.
my answer is, I'm probably thinking too far, but I think there's a room for a startup for a brain-computer implant that precludes, people having aggressive thoughts.
That's interesting. That's hot. I think that's a good place to end it.
That's ethics,
Well, guys, thanks for coming on.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Yeah, we'll do it
Anytime.
again. Dude, it's amazing.
All right.
All right.